crowd today.
You hear us now, Lisa?
And it is 10 o'clock. Please join us for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Huerfano County Commissioner meeting for December 5th, 2023 is now in session. The first item is the agenda approval. Mr. Young.
Commissioners, I have no change to agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second that. A motion, a second. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrade,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes.
Consent agenda.
Commissioner, on the consent agenda for today, I have the meeting minutes for November 14th, 2023, minutes for November 21st, 2023. I have a pink sheet resignation for Angelo Quintero and a green sheet pay increase for Justin Noka.
Should accept the consent agenda.
Second?
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Andrade,
Yes.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes.
Public comment. We have no one in the room. Does anyone online wish to comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to appointments. No appointments. No land use. Action items.
All right, Commissioners, the first action I have for you is resolution number 23-46, appointing Dale Lyons to the Raymond Gary Community Center Board.
Make a motion to approve resolution number 23-46, a resolution appointing Dale Lyons to the Raymond and Gary Community Center Advisory Board for a term expiring on December 31st, 2027.
A motion. I have no second. Motion dies.
All right, Commissioners, next I have a resolution appointing Lisa Gary to the Raymond Gary Community Center Board for a term expiring on December 31st, 2027.
Do I have a motion?
Would make a motion to approve resolution number 23-47, a resolution appointing Lisa Gary to the Raymond and Gary Community Center Advisory Board for a term expiring on December 31st, 2027.
Motion. Do I have a second? Motion dies. Next item.
Resolution number 23-48, a resolution appointing Travis Nelson as an alternate to the Raymond and Gary Community Center Advisory Board for a term expiring on December 31st, 2027.
Do I have a motion? Have no motion. Resolution dies.
All right. Commissioner, next I have a purchase order for Rhino Plumbing, Colorado Rhino Plumbing, for backflow and additional parts for road and bridge backflow installation per city ordinance. This is an updated amount of $390 to give the total purchase order of $2,046.
Make a motion to pay for the Colorado Rhino, for the amount of 2,046 for the additional parts needed for the backflow.
I'll second for the purpose of discussion.
I have a motion. Second discussion.
Are we putting these out for bid, asking multiple people for requested quotes? I feel strongly that we need to,
We have not been.
not bid, but asking for additional quotes, more than one.
This has been going on long enough. I don't remember if we did at the beginning, but I don't think we did.
Okay. I would just encourage before we move forward with this invoice to see if we can get that cost lessened,
Okay,
at least make the phone calls.
sure.
Thank you.
Maybe then we should hold off on approving it.
Can we approve up to that amount And then, staff direction to look for other less expensive alternatives.
Yeah, you can, but I think since we have meetings every week for the next couple of weeks, it's maybe cleaner just to have staff run and check these out before we approve them.
And I just want to be clear, I'm all about supporting local, and this is nothing other than monetary to me, but we can't just assume we're getting the best price if we don't look around. So.
So would you consider that as a withdrawal of your second, or
Sure.
how do you want to move forward with that?
Yeah, I'd withdraw my motion
Withdraw the motion, withdraw your second.
till we get another.
Thank you.
So with some research, then you will come back with this, I assume?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
And we can do the same thing for 189. Although when I spoke to Chris about this, I think this one isn't supposed to be in here because he said that they were going to do the work on this today. So I need to double check about this one anyway. So let's skip that one as well, if you guys are okay with that.
Sure.
Sure.
I'm gonna put it as no action taken, the 189.
Thank you.
Carl, can I say something? This is Debbie Reynolds.
Yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
So, because I have the same problem, I need to get that plumbing done for my church and everything, and I'm having trouble picking up a plumber to go do that. So, and the city is coming down on us because they're sending us letters because we can't get this done. So you guys are very fortunate to have Rhino Plumbing to be able to get this done for you. Just an FYI, I have been calling out of town. I've called in town. Nobody's responding. So FYI, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.
Good, or good now to know.
Commissioners, next I have purchase order number 190, the new image drywall. This is another one that I'm going to ask you to hold off on because, so let me explain what happened here because a lot of this is my fault. When we awarded our grant for the district center, this year's underfunded grant we're currently in, there were two projects. There was this and there were security upgrades. Somewhere along the lines, we got some things confused and we didn't move forward with this. Chris just bought some panels, put them up. Meanwhile, we moved forward with the security piece. We finally found someone that was able to do that. That cost has gone up significantly. Eating up, I think, a good portion of that grant. I'm not sure all of it. But I think there's only one section that Chris has been able to do is that it's basically the ceiling. So what I'm thinking about doing is asking him to revise this bid and just do the ceiling, which should cut it back down some. The courts did say when we were at the hearing that the sound panels that have been put up have made a drastic impact.
Right.
So yeah, that's where my head is at the moment.
And I don't know anything about sound panels, but if there are other companies that can give us quotes, that's always appreciated to have more than one.
The courts actually found these folks, if I remember correctly, and getting the sound panel isn't difficult. It's the getting my understanding at least is, because I guess I should be careful how I word this. It's getting the expertise to put the sound panels up the correct way and knowing where they should go.
Gotcha.
But as you saw, our staff doesn't really have that knowledge and they made it work. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so no action on purchase order 190.
Yep.
Purchase order 191.
Purchase order 191. This is for meeting for Owl Labs. This is for a Meeting Owl bundle. Total amount of $3,123. This is grant money from the SHS Portable Equipment, Tough Books, Furnishings. So this is for the EOC, put it like that. It's a tripod, it's an owl bar, and a meeting owl for 129 Kansas for emergency services to use.
It's fully grant funded.
That's my understanding.
Make a motion to approve purchase order 191 for the meeting owl bundle in the amount of $3,123.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spurrier,
Yes.
Commissioner Andrea,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you, the 2023 SRS Search and Rescue Grant. Say it out. This was submitted to Colorado Parks and Wildlife for the 2023 Backcountry Search and Rescue Grant. It was awarded on August 31st, 2023. And this is a request to disperse funds for radio batteries, search and rescue trailer markings as required by Colorado Parks and Wildlife. The trailer was purchased last year with SAR grant money. This is the brownish trailer that you see in front of City Hall or you somewhere in that part of the area at the moment.
So did you say there is SRA or SAR grant money this year or no?
Yeah, this is for a grant that's been awarded.
Oh.
Yep. So my understanding of how search and rescue works is essentially we get reimbursed for search and rescue activities partially, but they also help us with funding costs to conduct the activities. This is something that the sheriff's office typically handles, so I'm still getting read into it, but my basic understanding is that this is
This is passed through.
pass-through cost of doing business type of grant.
PPW.
Yeah.
And we can actually, if there's more expense than the grant money that comes in, we can use the school funding, the SRS, Secure Rural Schools funding for this. Because SRS Title III can only be used for community firewise protection and search and rescue.
Okay.
So this is basically just passed through in my understanding.
Okay, make question.
This is Captain Lesser. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I just heard that how the reimbursement stuff works. The only time we're reimbursed is if the parties actually had a hunting or license through the state, and then the state assesses how much of that. But I will tell you, typically, usually happen. The parties that lost don't usually have any type of licenses or anything, and they haven't this year. And I don't believe there was many last year that we were able. There was any last year we were able to recoup.
Okay, thank you.
Nothing over the 69-65, is that what you said? Or for just the,
This is just to pass through the
No.
$6,965
but he said there was nothing.
for reimbursement for them
Oh, okay.
for search and rescue activities.
Okay.
But this is to do the trailer improvements that are required by CPW.
Okay, I make a motion to pay the SAR for the amount of $69.65 for backcountry search and rescue equipment.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Andrea,
Yes.
Commissioner Spurrier,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes. Just so we're same page, this is a motion to accept the grant.
Oh, accept. Okay.
Oh, I thought this was the pass-through part of it.
So, Commissioners, next, this is just for discussion. It's not really an action item. This is your contingency change log for our energy performance contracting project. change item 014, the LAC kitchen hood design, and 016, the road and bridge oil heater. I know those say, actually don't say committed. I read this differently before, but anyway, this is sort of all the change orders that have been either presented to you or have been approved. And sort of where we are to date on the project. So we really start out with $95,614 in contingency. After everything that is either been billed or committed, our contingency and also the canceled facility improvement measures, we currently stand at $110,706.94 in contingency in this project. And that's counting a couple of things in that amount committed to date that we actually have not committed yet.
And we can remove the road and bridge oil heater.
Yeah, we actually told them yesterday we're not going to move forward with that. I'm assuming that's what you guys are going to do today. And the LAC kitchen hood design is still pending. And I'll drop both of those numbers. So you end up with something like, well, not counting the LEC is whether we're doing it or not, because I haven't made a decision on that yet, but that puts us close to 131 and some change there, 132, by removing the road and bridge waste oil heater.
What is the last one on the list, 017 and 018? What buildings are those for?
So 017 was for the law enforcement center. That's for the sheriff's office. That was the refurbishment of the air handling units that we were going to do with this project. Since we decided to explore the direct cooling versus just keeping the swamp coolers, that's why that portion was canceled.
Okay.
And you see there was some money that was already spent in getting ready for that project. That's what amount invoiced at the end. And then the electrical service, that was for the Kachar pump building. Again, there was some work that was already done there, but you see the balance there of what was canceled.
Thank you.
John, you had a question?
No, so the DX cooling, the 26,800 is in place of the canceled 017. Right?
Yes, and they intend still. So part of the reason why I asked them to put this together, it was when we were about doing the DX cooling, having that conversation, was to show how much is left remaining, because when we do that heating and cooling, a good portion of the capital cost for that can come out of this contingency fund. And I wanted to get an idea of sort of what that looked like.
You need a motion?
No, just information on.
Thank you.
Commissioners, next I have for you purchase order 194 for PSI Systems Incorporated. This is for the oil heater, waste oil heater for road and bridge, amount of $14,255. So the current heater still works, however, it's leaking carbon dioxide. So they advised road and bridge not to run anymore. This is a replacement. There is electrical work that goes along with it, but that is under $500. So it doesn't require you guys to sign off on it.
Make a motion to approve purchase order 194 in the amount of $14,255 for the oil burning heater for road and bridge.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I went down and looked at this, and I think this is the right way to go. We can get this in. We don't need to pay McKinstry another $6,000 in order for them to design something. So this is a good move.
Thank you.
Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Jetta,
Yes.
Chair Galusha.
Yes.
Motion passes. Commissioners, next I have for you a contract for services agreement. This is between the county and JRA Real Estate. This is for a development partner for the Gardner Main Street Development Project. If you look on page page number, but page 45 in your book. You'll see that basically the pre-development work, all the project management, getting things together. We billed at $7,000 a month, not to exceed $84,000. And then, of course, there's a flat fee of $5,000 for project mobilization. This kind of development, neighborhood level development, is expensive. And I want to make sure that we're on the same page about what our goals are and what we're trying to get to in this. Because there's a number of houses per phase, because it's probably going to be being phased out, that gets you the cost benefits to sort of make this worth it. And I want to have that discussion with you guys at some point in time before we sign this. I also got Baker Tilly is actually the next action item. I'm not going to take action on that because I didn't get that until 6:30 last night. And sort of seeing the two of them gives me a different sort of thought process about how to structure this. Granted, the one for Baker Tilly is only for preliminary evaluation and not for getting us to shovel ready. And then there's also other costs that are, as you see, they're listed here with no markup, geotech reports, property inspection reports, surveys, et cetera, that would have to be done in order to get the project to be ready to build.
Baker Tilly is specific to Rio and this is specific to Gardner.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I wanted to present it to you to get your thoughts on this and any instruction you might have for how to structure this. And then we can sort of talk about how we're going to approach this project.
Where does the money come from for this?
So the money for this comes from, you have two sources of money. One, we've set aside $50,000 in the housing authority. That's PILT money. That is the first source of money for this. The second source is that you set aside $200,000 for countywide housing projects in the ARPA funds. So there's about $250K that can be used for housing activities, but also that could be construction, that could be pre-development work, that could be a lot of things. So the money you spend on pre-development work is money you don't have to spend on actual construction.
Is it more likely to get a planning grant than it is to get a construction grant?
I think that, no. So I think that we can get planning grants for these, both from DOLA and perhaps from CHAFA. That I do need to do some more research on that with CHAFA. DOLA's very straightforward, is $25,000 for a max total project of 100. So this one will qualify. I'm going to do one of those at a time though. CHAFA does have planning money. Caroline asked me to reach out to her in the next couple of weeks and to start talking to her about that Caroline training. But if we're shooting for a smaller number of houses, what we can do to cut out a ton of costs and a ton of pre-development costs is right along, I think that's 616. No, it's not. 617 that runs by the community center. That road already has water and sewer in it. So we can do the PUD in-house, which is what we currently have, do the subdivision, and you can build houses, 3, 4, 5 houses, 6, 7 houses right along there. And it's a whole lot cheaper than sort of the infrastructure work, everything like that, that would go into a neighborhood level development.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my head is at as far as what we, depending on what approach we take. So I don't expect you to have an answer right now. So that's why I just want you to noodle on that.
Thank you.
So at this point, you're thinking you would rather not take action on this,
Yeah, table this
so
or now.
work on some details.
Yeah, and I like I said, I really want to get a feel for where you guys want to go. Look, the housing market is rough right now. The community had some strong feelings on for sale versus for rent. All that sort of needs to be balanced out. And because I don't want to spend this money and then we get to a point and the community says, we don't want to go that route, even though it's the route that is most efficient or that is most cost effective as far as return on investment. I want to, the sooner that we can have that discussion beforehand, we can save money and get what we want to get done.
What was the perception of the community, rent or purchase?
It got heated enough where we just sort of just pushed it off. So the sort of design leaned more towards single family, and JRA is working with Elevation Community Land Trust. So there are ways I think we can get single family housing to be long-term affordable without long-term work for the county. And in a way that I think people that are currently here and looking to buy instead of rent can afford to buy in at. So I think all that's possible. It's really just a matter of how we approach it and how we deal with the partners on that too. Who we partner with, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Any other questions there?
Not right now.
Yeah, so Baker Tilly came in, just to discuss that, they came in at I want to say 45,000 just to do the it's 20,000 for master planning. I think it's 25 for like the next level of sort of architectural engineering work. I glanced at that this morning, so I'm going to forward that to you. I'll put it in a future meeting for actual discussion. But just to give you an example, but that was just, this project's already gone through master planning. So it's a little bit different of an approach. Next I have for you a consulting agreement between Huerfano County and Jeannie Pinigino. The services include research projects, special projects, identified need, community outreach services, and developing strategic approaches to the county's initiatives. Translating that to English, it is for guidance with higher level state functions and advocacy with the state. And part of that involves working with us on what our initiatives are so they can go out and advocate for us. And then also for when we have questions about the law and state law and policy. Jeannie worked for CSAF for a number of years and knows the state like the back of her hand.
Yeah, it's very true.
Big thank you to John for reaching out and seeing if this would be a possibility. This is an incredible opportunity, so thank you. I would love to make a motion to approve the consulting agreement with Jeannie Pinigino, dated November 20th, 2023.
I'd second that. Do we have a discussion about a limit of how many hours? Like a top?
I would absolutely like, that was gonna be my recommendation, was let's cap this at $5,000. And if
A project or per year?
per
Per year?
Per year.
Project?
for the year, and as we have this is as on an as needed basis. We may not use her at all. We don't know.
Yeah,
But
she'd be a great resource, but
she's a tremendous resource.
yeah,
So if you're okay with half
Yeah,
on
say-
that motion,
I can add that to the motion.
second that.
okay, motion and a second. You clear on that, Sam? You got it? Okay,
Cap.
call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spillier,
Yes.
Commissioner Najera,
Yes.
Chairman Galusha,
Yes.
motion passes. All right, commissioners, on October 18th, the county released invitation to bid 2023-09, offer for sale 1,214.58 acres of grazing land, commonly known as the Thorn Ranch, near the intersection of County Road 520 and County Road and Colorado 69. The county receives 2 bids from 1 bidder, and having reviewed the bids, we request your approval to proceed to develop a contract with Macho Bravo LLC with the entire portion offered for sale at a purchase price of $1,250,000.
Make a motion to instruct the county attorney and county administrator to develop a contract to buy and sell with Macho Bravo LLC for the Thorn Ranch at a purchase price of $1,250,000.
I second that.
I have a motion, a second discussion. Just want to make sure that the bank is okay with releasing this 1,200 acres and keeping the rest as collateral for the remainder of the loan.
We have not heard back from them yet.
Okay.
So, we're gonna keep
I
working.
can revise the motion contingent on approval from the bank allowing us the release.
Yes, I agree with that.
So part of the RFP, the earnest money is due on Friday. Do you want to extend that until we hear back from the bank, or?
You probably wouldn't collect earnest money until you have a signed contract, and you wouldn't have a signed contract until you hear from the bank, so.
Definitely they are in that.
That's fine. It just needs to be said then if there's an issue with the bank, then
Okay.
I don't see an issue.
I don't either.
Just want to make sure that we cross our i's and dot our t's.
Exactly.
Kim has reached out a few times, but hasn't heard back from them yet, so.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Spruill,
Yes.
Commissioner Ojeda,
Yes,
Chairman Galusha,
Yes,
motion passes.
no more action items,
That is the end of action items.
staff reports.
Commissioners, on my staff report, let me start with, I forgot to put one thing in there. I'm pretty sure I forgot to put it in there. I'm on Friday, I met with Sharon and Rebecca from the city administrator and the city's animal enforcement officer. They have interest in doing a city-county shelter. I immediately responded back to them, I don't have money for a city-county shelter. And they said they're not really looking for money at this point because they don't know where they would find the money for it either. But they are looking for just some commitment and willingness to work together on this at this point. I did mention that we should probably include the town of Levita in this as well. They have some thoughts about a property that's for sale on 160. I did ask them, maybe we should also consider if building is cheaper than buying in certain situation, or perhaps renovating what the city already has. So at this point, it's just FYI, if you want me to communicate to the city that we're going to work with them on the long term, but short term, we can't really do much. I can reiterate that from you guys as well.
Yeah, my opinion is, we need to do some animal control, no doubt about it, but we have bigger fish to fry, so this is a lower priority. Yeah.
I agree, but I would like to be involved in the discussions, especially regarding purchasing a facility versus using, facilities we already have existing.
Yeah, I think in my head, after talking to them, what I came up with is this is a multi-year down the road discussion, and not we're gonna get this done next year type thing. I don't think this moves until 25 as far as even can we find the money for it. So I don't think this happens. My wife told them is we don't have the money for this right now at all. Other than that, I did attach the new budget schedule. So the budget is due January 10th. We'll talk a little bit later today in our budget workshop about when we actually want to adopt the budget. I don't think I'm talking to Alicia, I don't think we need until January 10th. The SRS Title III public comment period closes today. So far, nothing has been received, but with that, probably next week we'll bring to you some sort of action to add community wildfire protection plans to the list of things we can spend that money on. There's a schedule there of when solicitations close. Next thing that closes, I have the wrong date in there. The ranch closes not on the 5th, but on the 11th. The waste transfer closes on January 5th. So December 11th is when the Bonito Ranch on River Agricultural Operations closes. So Mountain Park Operator, that of course is already closed, on December 19th. You'll get those proposals. And then we have been working with the incubator staff on the consulting services contract. We're working through that contract at the moment, but we'll put you that for award and the contract at the same time, once those are ready. We've submitted now for all 4 buildings, the low-income solar bonus applications. The first 3 are in the first round and social services in the second round. So another discussion item, this is change order 7. It wasn't on that list that you had before. It's because it's just been finalized. There's sort of an order of when the discussion starts, not in the order of when they're approved or when they come before us. So part of our energy contract project is to replace the controller for the AC and heating in this building. That project hit a snag because the relay modules on the control board have failed. So instead of reprogramming it, they're gonna have to replace that controller, which is an additional, which is $24,000 with no markup from McKinstry. That said, we'll be set to work with Train for several years into the future once that is replaced. So I know the board has had a desire to get away from Train. So I wanted to present to you just for your thoughts over the next week or so before I present you the actual change order. At CCI's conference, Carl and I and Robert sat in on a meeting with CCI. I think you were at DHS, Erica. Not with CCI, but with the Colorado Energy Office, a presentation from them. They have grants for geothermal, including district geothermal, what really sort of piqued my attention, including planning for district geothermal. I talked to McKinstry about it, just asked, is this a viable option? And they said for the courthouse, it definitely is, because of this the parking space and the green space we have over here on the north side of the building. They think that it would take a year to plan. And the total cost would be about $1 million. That said, we can get money from DOLA, there's money from Colorado Energy Office, all of which of course will be competitive. Nothing that's, slam dunk or just in the bag from the go, but it's a possibility. And it could be $1 million with very minimal county match.
And that could work towards the heating expenses in all of our buildings.
And my hunch is that the buildings are close enough, but for this building, for the mining museum, for Justice Center, and for the sheriff's office, perhaps all 4 could be on one system. I said, we're working on the LAC heating and cooling for the sheriff's office. We replaced the old furnace at the mining museum, and the Justice Center is brand new. So perhaps looking at just the courthouse is what makes the most sense. But it's an option.
How far can that district extend?
No idea.
Just wonder if you can get the community center to that.
Salida used to run the entire town on a steam plant.
Yeah, I've heard of various places that run whole neighborhoods on them. Or on centralized heating. So, it's certainly something interesting to explore. And then, of course, if we just switched out the entire control system with somebody else besides Train, that's 200, 300K. So, but that's something that you had been presented with. Carl, of course, wasn't here, but when we're going through the planning process for this project, we sort of looked at that and said it wasn't worth the cost there, but it's an option. So just something to noodle on.
So just a thought, it's kind of amazing that the IO modules weren't bad until Train came down here to look at them.
Nothing stops a train, John.
That,
Good one.
good.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
That being said, is it something we need to worry about now, or should we just wait till it goes out?
The 24,000 for the part is probably the least expensive way to go at this point, until we figure out how to get $300,000 to replace that unit.
But does it need to be replaced if there's not an issue with it? That's $24,000 part.
I will tell you that in our offices, we boil in the winter, we freeze in the summer. You know, that system, from my understanding, from mainly listening to you, John, it's had issues from day one.
Okay.
Part of me is interested into how low we could get the county's payment for this geothermal thing. But that's because, you know, I understand that the boiler is sort of towards the end of its life too. I need to make sure I have that right before I commit to saying that. So what I'm saying is perhaps there is an advantage of getting a lot of projects out of the way if we go with that route versus just the fix here. But of course, the fix here is an immediate fix and not a long term, and not something that takes a year to plan and see if we get the money for it or not to move forward. So.
Well, it's a year for planning and probably a year or more to be up and running, so you have to do something now.
Yeah. And then last thing, the public building electrification grant. I got a question about this on Friday at Gardner. So for Carl and John that were there, yes, it does include, it's a split mini heat pump system. And then, but the total project cost is we're looking at 1.2 million approximately. Most of that especially for the Fox and for 129 Kansas is matched for our DOLA grant. So the 928K or the 309K that's required in matching funds essentially is taken care of. So my understanding is that they're accepting these on a rolling basis, not really a deadline. So McKinsey should be ready to submit once you guys approve it, hopefully next week. Hopefully it's ready to submit next week, and we might hear back as early as end of the year or early next year, like January, because I'm not taking a whole lot of time to review them. So that could be a big impact for the county as far as saving some money, both in terms of utilities and in terms of match for projects. And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Questions? County Attorney Lisa.
Hi, Commissioners. My apologies for not being there. I did get a positive strep test this morning, so you're welcome at the same time. And
Thank you.
my apologies for not getting a report as well. I will have one prepared for you at our next meeting. We did have our tax appeal on the Driscoll case on Friday. The Driscolls, they stipulated to the CBOE's decision on the smaller property, the 5-acre property, that was about 174,000. So we didn't have to argue back and forth about that, but we did have the hearing on the larger property. Joshua Knight testified and he did very, very well. From my research on that board, my sense is that they kind of try to appease both parties, and so I don't think they'll get their entire appeal granted, but I don't think our decision will be upheld entirely as well. So that's just kind of my sense of how those hearings go. We do have another one in January that I'll be working with Bruce on, so that one will be coming up. As far as the quiet title suit, I discovered that there is a problem with the heading that they have. They actually sued the county rather than the treasurer. It should be the treasurer that they file against. And because the property owners are known within the Panadero area that may have a property interest in this, they need to be named as well. And so I'm going to be talking with Mr. Hotelling's attorney and finding out if she just wants to revise, if she wants to dismiss without prejudice and refile, or what she wants to do. So I'll keep you updated there. And I think, I'm sure I have more, but that's all I can think of at this point. Do you have any questions for me?
Looks like no. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Feel better.
Correspondence, Carl.
All right, commissioners, first up I have item 9A, CTSI on understanding HIPAA. Another technical update on winter weather driving. 9C is your bulk water monthly report. 9D is your water and sanitation monthly report. 9E is your, I'm sorry, 9D is your billing register. 9E is your system totals report. 9F is the treasurer's October report. 9G is a note from Levita Village on donations to Levita Village. And 9H is a letter from Morningstar Elevator, letting us know that there will be a 2.5% price increase for elevator maintenance starting next year.
Clifton?
No.
I would entertain a motion for an executive session for a conference with the county attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS 246402-4B. More specifically, the workers' comp case update, reduction in force process, a Badito Ranch on the river water with the water attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Second, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. In discussion, there will be no decisions made before, during or after the executive session. Call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Sporleader?
Yes.
Commissioner Angetta?
Yes.
Chairman Galusha?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then we have upcoming meetings at 2 o'clock, 2:30 and 3 o'clock for workshops. So I'm going to recess the regular meeting at 10:47.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
What's TPS?